Valorant. Oh, you did add this. I meant to add that too. Valorant Studio head Ann Dolan tells players to play something else. We won't miss you while announcing new player behavior policies. Now, I'm going to let you in on a secret, Anne, or Anna, sorry. Um, you will absolutely miss everyone if they stopped playing.
Yep. You'll
So
miss
she
your
goes into this
paycheck, too.
whole thing here.
Hey everyone, I'm Anna and I'm the studio head for Valorant, and I'm here to chat a bit about player behavior.
Now, here's the thing. There is no way that they can fix this so-called problem. All right? There is never going to be a way for them to fix this problem. If you have a problem with people speaking to you and it makes you feel uncomfortable, or their trash talk is too much, mute them. That is
No, she goes over that.
In the game.
Girl, you don't have to
Since
listen, you can read.
Especially with the addition of voice comms, we've known that fighting in-game harassment was going to be both something we needed to prioritize and also would be one of the most challenging issues that we would face.
Because you can't.
We've been working on systems and technologies, and we actually have been making a lot of progress, but having large global player communities presents unique challenges, evolving challenges. So we have to be ready and willing to re-examine things and hold ourselves accountable when things are not meeting our community's expectations. And that's exactly what we've been doing. I've spent the last couple of weeks reviewing player logs, looking at penalty escalation paths, discussing player behavior philosophies, seeing where they're working and where we absolutely need to do better. It's not the first time I've had to do this. It will not be the last. It's important work, but it's not always easy work. I'm a human and a parent and a caregiver and a team lead, and in almost every aspect of my life, I feel this deep responsibility to protect people, and this is different.
Nobody asked for your protection. Nobody needs your protection other than your family. Go fuck yourself, Anna.
The responsibility of protecting our community of Valorant players is one I take very personally, and I can tell you that very often it can feel like I've failed in that responsibility.
It's not your responsibility.
Because it's not your responsibility.
Complex problem space. Our systems cannot catch everything. They require constant attention and tweaking and improvement.
No, they won't ever catch everything, because in order to catch them, you got to be in the game and catch them right then and there to properly do the protecting you want to do.
Sometimes it has to be painfully manual or dependent on our players reporting things and on our processes staying well tuned. And sometimes tech that has the potential to be a game changer takes longer than you want to work. All the things we say at Riot on the topic of player behavior are true. I want to assure you,
can you pause it one more time?
Always taken this.
Okay. I just want to hit on this real quick. You said painfully manual. Doesn't like to work. You said long hours a second ago. So she hates her hours. She doesn't like to work. Fire her.
That's not what she said. But anyway.
Yeah, no, it is.
No, she says it takes long hours to manually essentially do this sort of thing.
Yeah.
And it's taking longer to make technology to do it so somebody doesn't have to sit there and do it. That's what I was saying earlier. Unless you've got somebody there monitoring every single match and catch it in the moment, you're never going to be able to protect the players the way you keep saying you want to. It's just useless virtue signaling.
Oh, seriously, you listen to her. She says that it's the long hours of doing it manually. I assume that's what she's referring to. And I'm like, well, you opted for this.
Well, it's not her doing it. She's not the one doing any of this. She's issuing the order. Other people they've hired is designed to do this.
Yeah, but
I mean, she's what, the CEO, right?
No.
Or I'm sorry, head of Valorant Studios. Sorry. Where does that lie with the CEO again?
Nowhere near. Basically, that's like a supervisor.
Okay.
Seriously, that's been true ever since we launched League of
He's a
Legends.
department head,
But at the end of
basically.
the day, there are still some people in this world who want to take out their insecurity or their bad day or their hate or their whatever on some stranger through their computer screen.
He was
So we
about
work
to say
harder,
bigotry.
we take steps forward.
So, anyway,
But here's the part I can't shake. In almost all cases, someone gets hurt in the process of making these systems better. Too often, it takes someone experiencing the worst behaviors, something egregious, something painful, something threatening, for us to better understand where the gaps in our system.
listen, I'm all for banning somebody for making a legitimate threat. That's
Yeah.
fine. They should get banned. Simple as that. Um, the reason, for those who want to know, it takes to that point before they actually do something, in air quotes, of course, it's because it's costing them money or something at this point
But
to
also,
not do something.
there's no violation till
They
something's
have
been
no
done.
incentive to do it. Because if they actually devised a system to do what they want to do, one of two things are going to be true, if not both. One, they're going to accidentally ban a huge chunk, over 50% of their player base, overnight. Or everybody's going to run in without comms all the time, which they should be doing anyway. So,
Yeah.
you know.
Systems and processes are. And that's exactly what we're experiencing and addressing right now. But I also want to make sure that I say this out loud. We have no room for these types of behavior in our game or in our community. Valorant is a team game. It's better played as a team. The strats are better. All of it's better. When you tell someone to just mute comms to avoid harassment, you are essentially putting the harassed person in a position to not communicate, to compromise how they want to play the game, to accommodate you.
Okay, that's
And how are you
exactly
not-
what you just did, right?
Yeah. How are you not doing the exact same thing?
It's a team game. It's better team. Get in with randoms and speak to them. Put comms on. You're telling people who don't want to do that they need to do that. Play the game they want to play. But no, the best way to protect yourself from this sort of thing, or to shield yourself from this sort of thing, is to turn off comms.
Yeah.
Better yet, if you want to play a team game with
Get a
a
team.
team, get a fucking team. I mean, out of all the games that we have played on this channel and your channel, they're all multiplayer games for the most part, right?
Yep.
A lot of them are. And what is the one thing we don't do?
We never use comms. We always
We never use in-game comms except for when it's a game like Sketchy Company.
Yeah.
Or Phasmophobia,
Or has
where you know
game effects.
it's kind of essential to use those comms for
Content
the
warning.
full effect, right? And that encompasses a small portion of games, but for the most part, what is the first thing we do? We did it in Helldivers. Oh, turn off proximity chat immediately.
Yep.
And then we communicate through things like Discord, Guilded, and stuff like that. Back in the day, we used things like Virtuilico, Vent, TeamSpeak, Skype, for heaven's sake.
Yep.
To not use the
TeamSpeak.
in-game comms. And sometimes we get to the point where we want in-game comms to yell at somebody for being a dumbass, like in Dead by Daylight. You know, or to try and communicate. So the games you kind of want comms sometimes. You just don't got them because they don't have any way to talk to somebody. But here's the deal, is people like Anne here doesn't want to draw the line on trash talking. So she's going to the most extreme thing, threats. We don't want that. But what she's trying to say is we don't want to trash talk. We don't want any of that. And she doesn't want to draw a line on it because everybody's line is different in this kind of thing. You know, For example, one person may think the line is if you say drop an F bomb, while another person's line is dropping the hard R, while another one says the hard R every 2 syllables.
Yeah.
You know? And then you'll run into the problem where you have a black player who does drop the hard R every 2 syllables because, they've got the black card to do it. And then they're going to get banned by the system for dropping a word that they commonly use because I still don't get that. They're reclaiming it or what shit. But it's so offensive that anyone else using it should die, right? And the only way to prevent this is to just turn off comms in general.
Yeah.
That's the only real surefire way to fix the issue is have no trash talk or just turn off comms by default.
Muting is a tool for people who choose to use it, not something that is there to justify bad behaviors.
Well, it doesn't justify bad behaviors, which is another thing that a lot of these people do too, right? It's like you tell them to mute. Oh well, you're victim blaming. You're saying that it's okay to do that. Nobody is saying that.
No, I'm providing you a solution.
It is the tool that provides you a solution to your problem. But
this came on the heels of...
you think the world is so in this idealistical place where everybody should be, what's the word? I guess angels or some shit. And the world is just simply not that way.
The world is not without sin, y'all.
Competitive games need to have room for banter. We believe this. And I do understand the fear.
No, you don't.
No, because again, we're going back to either all of it is good, acceptable, or none of it is. You can't go in between because somebody has to draw the line. And your line is not going to be the same as somebody else's.
Yeah.
The fear that we will sanitize gaming by over addressing these issues. We have no interest in doing that. That's not...
You can't, because you will lose your game real quick.
Yeah.
Not what we're talking about here. But we do believe that a person should not be in a position to have to grow a thicker skin or whatever other unhelpful suggestions have been thrown out there.
That is
helpful. Not unhelpful. It is very helpful. Listen, there are people who have panic attacks because they have to call the water company to pay their fucking bill, for crying out loud.
Yeah.
Those people need to grow a thicker skin. I mean, it doesn't. I'm not going to sanitize it for them. You need to buck up, Buttercup. Pull yourself up by your bootstraps. All that good stuff that you hate to hear. Deal with it.
Absolutely.
And if you don't like it, disable comms.
Just to avoid threats of violence or literal hate speech.
Hate speech doesn't exist, but continue.
There's no room in our community for the most egregious behaviors, and we're not going to compromise on that point. If you need...
Yes, you will, because you want a functioning game that pays you lots of money.
To make truly evil statements under the guise of regular shit talk to enjoy gaming, then please play something else. We won't miss you.
Okay.
And yes, you will, because primarily, what are your player base? It's men.
Yep.
If you tell the men not to come, remember what happened to Battlefield when they did that? It was the worst selling Battlefield in existence.
Mm-hmm.
Val community, we can't stop them from opening their mouths and saying something awful. I wish we could, but we can't stop that part. What we can do is help escort them out of our game spaces. We do some of this already. The vast majority of the time when someone says something out of line and gets reprimanded, they learn as a result of our feedback systems. They keep playing, they rarely repeat offend. The number of players who exhibit these behaviors are not the majority, I assure you. In fact, they are a very small fraction of our player base.
Oh, she finally said something that is right for a change, because that's, of course, back to when we were talking about what's-her-face and her fake outrage for the things she tried to get.
Yep.
She's making the case that this is everybody, and all the people defending her is everybody's doing this shit. And it's not. It's a small percentage of people. Very small. This percentage they can actually do without.
updates. However, it has definitely become clear to us that our existing penalties are not doing enough right now to remove the most disruptive players from Valorant in an efficient manner. So here's what we're going to do. First, over the next 30 days, we'll be finalizing updates to our existing policies. This will allow us to issue more severe penalties and faster, with a focus on the most severe behaviors, things like hate speech, severe sexual content, and threats of violence, which have no
Define
limit.
hate speech.
And we will continue to adjust those categories, that when you get feedback from a report, that you can trust
They can't.
I know.
that something happened in a timely manner and with the right severity. I'm hopeful that these updates should be a positive step in earning that trust. And I don't
Anyway, that's about it there. It's
Yeah.
just them addressing that thing. But yeah, I mean, it's a problem that's going to persist forever.
And
And
they have
you don't want
competitors.
to, and you don't want to take the solutions that are available. You can either have all banter or no banter, which is their word for trash talk, apparently. But yeah, you either have it all or you don't have any. You can ban the legitimate threats, that sort of thing. Nobody's going to really bat an eye over that.
Yeah.
But there are people, again, they fold because they have to make a phone call to pay their own damn bill. They need to grow a thicker skin.
Yes.
And if you don't want any of it, disable comms. It's that simple. That is the solution. Find yourself a team, play with that team, disable comms, and don't deal with randos. I have been doing it since Xbox installed the ability to mute people back in, like, what was it, the 360 days?
Yep.
And ever since then, that is like the first thing I do on just about any other game I play is mute the fucking comms.
Yeah.
They're,
Now
they're-
you can preemptively mute them, which is great.
Yes. And you have like blacklists, block lists, and all this other stuff, tools that are available to you, like Final Fantasy 14 had a block list, a blacklist, or something like that, where you can add players you don't want to hear from to the list, and they just don't pop up in the window anymore.
Gold sellers.
I mean, you can also disable the window.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, WoW never had anything like that. You had to use a mod.
And by the way, funny thing about that is I remember when they came out with that mod, Blizzard was banning people for using mods, and it was just the chat mod. And then they're like, oh, oops.
I don't remember that, but add-ons have been a thing for WoW forever.
Yeah.
And they seem to be okay with that. But like, my kid wanted to play WoW, right? He wanted to experience WoW. What did I do? I deleted the chat window.
Yep.
So he couldn't see it for a reason. But
yes, sir.
yeah, like,
and for anybody out there, that's called parenting.
and WoW doesn't have that option by default, so you have to use like a UI mod or add-on to make that sort of thing possible. But yeah, like that's one of the things I have just done in every multiplayer game that I have played since the good old days of COD lobbies and having the ability to mute people, or actually it was Halo at the time.
Yep.
Was just mute all at that point, because there's no sense in it. You can avoid all that bullshit and the screaming 12-year-old and the idiot who's blaring some kind of heavy rock into the microphone by just muting them.
No comment on that rock part.
Well, I don't want to listen to somebody's terrible rock coming through the mic all muffled and scratchy.
True.
You did it, didn't you?
To be fair, only once. What? 5 times.
Uh-huh. Yeah, see, if I ever whenever I played music in the background while gaming, I just didn't plug in my microphone because I'm considerate like that.
No, this was actually on purpose. Like, some people are being complete assholes. So me and my friend Victor were playing.
Count.
And we put the mic all the way up to the speaker and just started blasting.
Yeah, I've done that too. Yeah, it's one thing when you're taking care of a dick who's in the lobby. It's another thing when it's just your default setting.
Yeah, that's different. Yeah, I'm
All right,
just joking.
anyway.